Jenny from Dedicated to Adventure, and it's gear review time. Look at these are the brand new HikeSense Trekking Pole. Recently I was approached by a boutique Brisbane company, HikeSense, asking if I'd be interested in reviewing their hero product, brand new to the market, their HikeSense Trekking Poles. And after meeting with Mark Murray, I agreed to test their trekking poles over my 3 rotations of the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. So over a 4-day multi-day hike, a 6-day multi-day hike, and an 8-day multi-day hike. So that'll be a total of 300 kilometres to have a look at these new poles to see how they stand up. What drew me to agreeing to review their trekking poles was that this group has a significant community connection here in my hometown of Brisbane. I've been a member of their Facebook group, which is called Brisbane Hiking Adventures, for quite a while now, and I've been really impressed by the way they lead their group hikes, by their hiker leadership qualities, their strong emphasis on safety and communicating leave no trace principles. I love their focus on hiker education. You know, this group is really rock solid, and they've just hit 10,000 members, so how good's that? You know, I was looking on their website, and as their company's mission reads, they are more than just a store. They say that we are passionate hikers. The aim is to provide fellow hikers with high quality, reliable gear that enhances every adventure. They pour so much time into researching and thoroughly trialing each new product to ensure it meets the highest standards of durability, functionality, and comfort. So that's a winning match for me. Being a Brisbane-based company and one so community-minded, well, I'm quite happy to help. Just so you know, for clear transparency here, the terms of my input is that I will thoroughly test, review, and then I'm going to return these poles to their group so that other hikers can use them on their hikes within the Brisbane Hiking Adventures group. So now that I've completed my first 4-day 70-kilometre rotation of the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk, my initial thoughts are that the HikeSense trekking poles are lightweight. They only weigh 240 grams. And they are very easy to assemble. So let's have a look at these trekking poles now. Let's put them together. I like that they come in the 3 pieces. So they have this sturdy locking system. So you just pull that out, undo the clip, adjust to your height. They extend all the way up to 130 centimetres. I'll just adjust them to my height. When you first put them together, I would recommend using pliers to tighten this little bit here. So, what do I like about these trekking poles? Well, they're lightweight, and that's really important to me. The total weight is 240 grams. The thing that stands out to me though, that I haven't experienced with purchasing any other trekking poles over all of the decades of hiking, is that they come with all of these attachments. So you have these for light snow conditions, these feet, which are for mud and sand. I really love the boots. The boots are aimed at hiking on bitumen, and I certainly had some of that on the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. And then you have these ends, which are for using on on rocky terrain. And they all seem to be, they're all made of rubber, and they seem to be quite tough. So we'll see how they stand up to the 300 case. But I don't know any other brand that has all of these different attachments as standard. Usually if they do come with different attachments, you have to purchase them separately. So for them to come with all of them, I was really impressed with that aspect. What else do I like? Well, the wrist strap is nice and wide, very comfortable, adjustable, like that, and the little stripe on it is reflective, which I think is quite helpful. It's very nice webbing. And as I showed you before, the tri-fold assembly is easy to put together. It's different from my normal poles, so I'm still getting used to that, so I probably wasn't quite quick with that, but I'm getting used to that. And they're nicely branded. I like that they are quite a sleek pole, along with their lightweight. They fold down to be very compact, and I love their generous EVA foam handle. I found that it was very comfortable on the grip, and when you're perspiring, the sweat goes into the foam, which keeps your hands fairly dry. So that's a great feature as well. The body of the pole is made from an aluminium alloy mix, and the tips, I'll just remove the cap for you, are made from tungsten steel. All of the feet attachments are all made from rubber, but it's a really hard rubber that's not easy to bend or flex. I think that each of these attachments would offer very good support while you're hiking, no matter what the terrain is. During the 4-day multi-day hike, I found them to be very stable and tough poles, which gave me complete confidence when negotiating complex rainforest terrain, rocky terrain. I did a number of creek crossings, and so these offered me a heap of stability with that. The reasons why I swear by using trekking poles is that they ease the strain by about 30% placed on areas of my body like my hips, my knees, lower back, ankles and feet. And that's really important when you're on multi-day hikes, but it's also important on day hikes. They help prevent injury, and they certainly improve my balance significantly and help me to build momentum and to increase my endurance on my hikes. I feel that these trekking poles will suit a broad range of hikers. Personally, I would use them on any of my more complex day hikes or day hikes of any technicality, and I'm certainly confident using them on multi-day hikes. Being so easy to assemble, they suit both those who are new to hiking and also those who are really experienced hikers. So they do really, they will suit a broad range of hikers. Those were my initial thoughts of the HikeSense Trekking Poles, and I must say, so far I'm suitably impressed. I think they are tough and they are durable, and they have stood up well to the rocky terrain that I've put them through on the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. I've only tested them for 4 days on a multi-day hike yet, so I will continue testing them throughout the entire 300 kilometres, and then I'll come back to you with my final thoughts. this little beauty. I have walked this track is my 10th time. I've walked the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk, and I've never come across a koala walking it, so this is absolutely magical, and to be doing it with a friend, oh wow. Can you see it here?
Yes.
How amazing is this? Hello buddy, how are you? You having a good morning?
Jensen's going to enjoy this.
You having a good morning? We're not here to disturb you, we're just going to walk past. You have a great day.
He's watching you. Well, check out this. It's time for breakfast at Baxter Falls. How gorgeous is this? Absolutely stunning. This would have to be my favourite spot on the entire Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. Have some chai tea on my jet boil and check out my breakfast. How good does that look? Yummo.
morning from the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. It is going to be a very hot 34 degrees today, so I am already sweating up a storm. I left Filberthaba Walkers Camp a while ago, and I'm walking in a clockwise direction to Ubiji Walkers Camp, and it's about an 18-kilometre walk up and down, so it's going to be a really big day for me. Already sweating up a storm. Oh, and you might have noticed, here's my tent up there. Now the reason I'm so loaded up is because I am doing my last rotation of the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. Oh, let me just change this for a sec. It's a bit wobbly. There we go. Last rotation of the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. Training for the Richmond Ranges in New Zealand along the Araroa Trail. And that's going to be my longest food carry, 10 days. So that's nothing to joke about. So there'll be probably 3, maybe 4 sections where my tent is going to need to be at the top. The rest of the time though, it'll be in my backpack. But I've got to allow room for all of that food. Yes, so it's very exciting. I only have, I think, 6 days now till I fly over to New Zealand. Very exciting. Starting to get to some views. I'll turn you around so you can have a look. Look at those fans, aren't they lovely? Even with the light not coming through yet, they're still beautiful. Oh, yeah. Oh, and so the weight I'm carrying today is 16.25 kilograms. Now, I won't have that much weight for the Richmond Ranges. The reason why I have that much weight today is I'm carrying 4.25 litres in water, because I'm going hut from hut. Each hut has a water tank at the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. Now, when I usually walk this walk, it's in June, July, and there can be quite a bit of water in there. And with that kind of load, my hiking poles are absolutely essential to distribute the load and help look after my joints, my lower back, hips, knees, ankles, feet. Absolutely essential. Oh boy. Kenilworth Valley. Looking across to Bruloo Valley. Very hazy today. I mean, particularly when I start getting tired towards the end of the day, I'm carrying this sort of load. But, you know, even in my everyday hiking, when you start to get tired, if you've had a really big day, then your balance can go a bit off. So hiking poles offer so much stability. Oh, and a fun fact, so I've been using them for training. I've got that river trail I do with the 3,000 stairs. And the stairs, I think, are 56 at a time or something like that. And I do lots of 1,000 and go for a bit of a walk. But anyway, I've been, with my watch, I've been tracking my heart rate, going up them without hiking poles. and then doing a bit of a walk to cool down, and then repeating the same experiment using the hiking poles. And I've noticed that when I use the hiking poles, that in comparison to when I'm not using the hiking poles and those 1,000 stairs, that it lowers my heart rate by about between 10 to 12 beats per minute, and that just makes it a lot more comfortable to keep pushing and gaining momentum, and of course isn't as tiring. So that was an interesting little experiment. I was curious to see the difference from a heart perspective. Now, of course, these are just my musings. These are my just curiosity, me being curious and wanting to test things. You know, I already knew about how they make my body feel and the support they give my balance and my joints, and how they allow me to walk through complex terrain more easily and minimize injury. But it hadn't occurred to me that they might allow my heart to not work as hard. And as I said, the experiment was done on exactly the same stairs. So how cool is that? And also, you know, when you're on rocky outcrops like this one, and there's a drop off, hiking poles are awesome with that too. Aren't the ferns beautiful? Wow. Lovely with the grass trees. I'm very lucky that it's overcast at the moment. This is my third rotation. So the last hike, the last multi-day hike I'll be doing before I leave to head across to New Zealand to walk the Araroa Trail. Now, if you haven't heard about the Araroa Trail, it runs the entire length of both islands in New Zealand, some 3,000 kilometres. I'm solo backpacking the South Island, so for me that will be around 1,400 kilometres because I have a couple of side trips as well. So today's last day, got the new pack on, that's really going well. But boy, oh boy, yesterday was an absolutely scorcher of a day here in southeast Queensland, 35 degrees. So so in my pack, I have everything that I need for the Richmond Ranges 10-day food carry. All my gear is exactly the same as the New Zealand stuff. And so I needed to pack yesterday 4.2 litres of water, and needed a bit more than that. I actually needed 5 litres, but that's okay. I got to camp and then I ended up drinking about 7.1 litres of water yesterday. Wow. But I found that I needed to drink every 40 minutes and really be careful with my pace, because hiking in 35-degree heat requires a heap of care. So I'm on my way down to Baxter Creek Falls. It's much cooler today, thank goodness. So I'll keep walking down this rainforest until I get to the waterfalls, and then I'll say hi again.
Hey there, I'm just finishing up a bite of lunch. I have a spinach wrap with some peanut butter and some dried cranberries and some sliced crystallized ginger, which is really yummy. So today is actually the last day, my last training hike, my last multi-dayer before I fly over to New Zealand to do the Araroa Trail. So it's also the last day that I finished product testing the HikeSense Trekking Poles, and I really enjoyed them. They are very robust poles, and for hiking poles that are in the very affordable category, they're absolute winners. They come with all the different feet, and I've talked a bit about those before. So the feet, let's have a look how they stood up. So 384 kilometres, probably about 70% with these on. Now I'm really impressed, you probably won't be able to see, but at the end there's a little metal piece which inside right at the end, which protects the titanium tip on the hiking poles. But as far as wear goes, I mean, I think that's very good for almost 400 kilometres, 384. So I've spent about 70% of the time in those, and they're for rock and hard surfaces. And then these ones, oh goodness, these ones are for sand and also mud. Now in southeast Queensland it's really dry at the moment, so there hasn't been any mud, but there certainly has been sand. Some of the rainforest sections here have been quite sandy, and also where I train at home. So I've been using these trekking poles whether I'm training or also on these multi-day hikes. And yesterday it was a 35-degree day here on the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk. So at lunchtime I was up to my shoulders in the river, and I used the hiking poles to stabilise me. And they were an absolute saver yesterday. You know, when you're hiking in extreme cold or extreme heat, then that can affect your clarity and your stability, and so the trekking poles were absolutely essential yesterday. And the last little one is these beautiful little feet. Now these are meant for walking on bitumen, and they've had probably 10% wear, 10% of time spent in them, so they've done really well. So you might be wondering which particular hikes I think that these poles would be good for. Well, I'd recommend them for any day hike here in Australia or in New Zealand, or any multi-day hike. So whether you're doing any of the great walks in New Zealand or some of the Australian ones like the Overland Track, Frenchman's Cap Track, the Cape to Cape Track, obviously I'm on the Sunshine Coast Hinterland Great Walk, any of those multi-days I'd be very confident with these poles. Now I suppose the final question is, would I take them to New Zealand to do a long distance hike? Actually, I absolutely would. Unfortunately, I had already bought a pair of trekking poles before HikeSense reached out to me, but I would have preferred to have taken these because they fold down into a really compact size, only about 30 centimetres. They're very, very light, very, very robust. There is some wear and tear just on the paint. You may be able to see the wear and tear on the scratches there. Don't know if you can see that. Oh, hiking poles, stay there please. But you would expect that with any hiking poles. So the terrain I've been using them on, I've been doing lots of river crossings, I've been doing rock scrambling, I've been doing lots of hiking through forests with gnarled roots, all that sort of stuff. So they've been really great for that as well. So that's what I think about HikeSense trekking poles. Would I recommend them? Absolutely, I love them. Bye for now.